Hello all, welcome to the Legend of Gaming podcast. This is Matt.
And you got Cliff.
Today we are talking everything FPS, first person shooters. But before we get into that, let's get into the cliff notes from the special episode.
So we have a few. One was in Black Ops 1, you had mentioned the map was called Jungle. You were very certain, and that's actually true. It's Jungle for Jungle. Yeah, exactly, spot on. You got it. The second one we actually had for Little Big Planet. There is a trophy that seems near impossible because the servers are down. I was able to find something slightly special. It's a small glimpse of hope. There is a website that actually runs the servers. Now the question is, can we get trophies on it? So we're doing some more digging. So it is a possibility. So we got a little hope there.
It's not nice. A no.
It's not a no. It used
it's
to
a
be
maybe.
A no. It became a maybe, which is very nice. Very nice. And then the flags in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I had said bodega. I think I was hungry when I said that.
You're thinking about sandwiches or
absolutely.
cats.
Oh, for sure. That's actually. It's Borga. Borga flags.
I mean, makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very like Italian.
Yeah.
European. Borga.
Yeah, that's
Borga. Sounds like a burger, actually, when I said it like that.
That sounds like a
Borga King.
Borga.
You get all the flags, you become the Borga King. Okay.
That accent coming all good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all our cliff notes for that.
That's solid. I love that. So, a special episode, you can access that through any of our links. But today, we're just going to hop into some first-person shooter stuff. So, Cliff, you pop us off.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing, if we're going to talk about first-person shooters, we should always just take a little glimpse into the history. One of the very first-person shooters is actually called Maze War. It kind of looks like it was coded directly on spot. It's just green and black. You're kind of running through a maze. And this was made by some high school students back in the 1970s. They were actually making this for a NASA work study, which is really cool. That was technically the very first-person shooter, which is... If you ever take a look at... You've played that game, really?
I just looked this up.
Yeah.
I have played this game.
That is the very first-person shooter ever created.
Now, the one that I played was an updated version in the 90s that was a tank game where you were shooting essentially incoming projectiles.
Okay.
But it's the same setup. Green across the bottom, crosshairs, little cube.
Yeah.
Then you move around this, almost like Pong.
Yeah.
But you're
just
controlling
like
it to
Pong.
shoot. That's really cool.
Yeah.
1973.
1970.
1970?
1970 for the first one, yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the iteration that came after? Did Maze continue to be the competitor, or was like Doom the next first-person shooter that came on the scene that people could see?
I think definitely Doom. Doom became what a lot of things that I was finding was Doom is considered to be the very first first-person shooter, and I think that becomes from popularity versus just the technicality of what came first. But Doom is definitely there.
I definitely get that too, because I think we've talked about games that we've enjoyed that were really competitive. Halo, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But I think there's Battlefield. I think there's an origin for everybody, that first game that they played that caught them. And I think for a lot of people it might be Doom, right? We've looked up online that they could play it on a rotary phone.
Oh, by the way, that's hilarious.
Samsung fridge.
I seen from the treadmill was the one that really sent me.
Running through hell, motivating, very motivating.
Maybe it gets you through your workout. Maybe it does. Maybe you feel like they're right behind you.
2 more miles. No, and I love that. I love that you're like, hey, this is the origin, right? Maze is the origin, but the origin for you might be something different. For me, it was absolutely GoldenEye. It was 007 GoldenEye in 64. That pause screen music might be some of the hardest beats ever dropped on my little brain. But I think more importantly, it was the first game that had every level. And by every level, I mean you could play it for the fun of the graphics. At the time, I was like, man, this is phenomenal.
Okay.
I could have you come over pre-internet days and sit down and play with me. We'll plug in a controller and we can play competitive against each other. That was the first competitive FPS experience I had where your hand-eye coordination's up against mine, your
Right.
skills up against mine, right?
Okay.
But then the third part, and again, this comes back to us being completionists. I can go to 007 difficulty and play this game and truly get wrecked, but get the most out of it. And that was something I learned from my dad. I just watched my dad play, and I'm like, oh, this is so hard. Why does he enjoy it? But now I see the joy of putting yourself in an environment where I love this game, but more importantly, like I want to challenge myself further into the game. So like that was definitely it for me. It was GoldenEye.
That's amazing. Mine with first person shooter, it kind of brings us back to the special episode. It's definitely gonna have to be Modern Warfare 1. I think that's the one that like I really definitely fell in love with. That you already heard me say on the campaign, I just felt like really connected to it. It was really intense. I think when it came to the multiplayer, it was the first one that I truly felt like I was actually playing.
Was that the first game with a first-person shooter campaign? Was that the first one you ever played?
When it came to playing on like multiplayer, yeah, I believe so.
I'm curious.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be because there were games along the way that I can't really depict or think that it was like, okay, like I was definitely playing this a lot, but it was definitely Modern Warfare. When it comes to my favorites, definitely Battlefield.
Okay, now what's the differentiator between Battlefield and Call of Duty? Obviously realism.
Realism is the biggest one. This is the first thing that came to mind.
Is that what attracted you to it? Like it I love Battlefield, so again, this comes from a place of bias. I love the fear of losing my life in a video game when I have other elements put in where like I can get points from making you better. I can give you ammo. I can bring you back to life. Those are elements that like are really attractive to someone where I feel like I don't have the hand-eye coordination to keep up with all the youngins anymore. So like that's what attracted me to it. Is there elements that you think are missing from Call of Duty or missing from Battlefield that the other one has that like is strong enough? It's a strong enough case. Like this is why I'm gonna pick this game over that one.
It was two things. It was the distance and the drop.
Of bullets, like the actual physics.
The actual physics of it. I mean, you had destruction, which is one of the key parts of Battlefield, and it's a beautiful part because you can really reshape the map to work for you depending on how you play. And then bullet drop. I think the first time I tried like really getting good with a sniper rifle in Battlefield, I just realized how much I really need to calculate on what I'm doing, and that's something that when you play Call of Duty, you don't really feel that. I mean, you get the crosshairs, that's it. And normally the maps are not as big when it comes to Call of Duty. They've grown now. They've definitely grown now. But before, they definitely weren't that gigantic space that Battlefield really gives you.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna come out, with a hot take. I think that you're highlighting one of the actual negatives, in my opinion, of current games, current maps of Call of Duty.
Okay.
If I go into Warzone, it is bigger. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Bigger doesn't mean better. And when I look at level design and I look at the intricacies that like make the difference in the two games, Battlefield, bigger isn't what made it better, but bigger is what made it more challenging.
Right.
I'm gonna snipe someone 800 meters away on that battleship. I'm gonna have to put my reticle 3, tags up so I can make sure that drop, I'm gonna hit him, right?
Right, exactly.
Whenever I've played Call of Duty and I've played highly competitive team deathmatch games, I love it. It is the height, the heat of Call of Duty. I love it. I love that shit. I love getting tore up and I'm upset and I'm like, I gotta get him back. Warzone feels like a running simulator where I'm gonna die at the end. I'm gonna land. We can loot. This is great. Very Fortnite-y. I love this aspect of I'm gearing up.
Mm-hmm.
But the design is like big building, parachute, RPG, drive a car, drive a four-wheeler. And I don't want to break it down that simple, but like the appeal of Warzone lost it on me, and I feel like it was the level design.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we talk about it getting bigger, and I feel like they took away the thing that made them special.
Yeah, they've been expanding into all these different regions, trying to stay relevant. But the question is, have you lost the core of what you are? Because that's what it seems like. I think what they could have done that probably would have worked out really well for Warzone is to actually have it where it was front lines on both sides. Imagine having 100 people front lines from here, 100 people front lines from there, and it's a massive area in between. Then you have crossfire that's going for endless miles. It looks intense, it feels intense, and you're pushing forward. You're trying to push forward. I think that would have worked out a little bit better for them.
World at War was. I told you, I love that you. I love that you have a love for Modern Warfare 1, that Call of Duty 4.
Yes.
That it really is a spectacular game. I just missed it. I missed the timing for it, where like I got the crumbs.
Yeah.
World at War, campaign specifically, like I love the multiplayer, but the campaign was that. It was D-Day. It was the front lines. It was seeing murder. It was seeing this carnage, and I think that was something that was so attractive. But like again, that's something that you can replicate in multiplayer.
Yeah.
You know what? Like add a revive feature outside of a squad. Like in this mode, anyone within 10 meters of this class can be revived. Or like there's aspects you could add that would add an element of change. But you could have that, because I think that, and to counter, I think the reason why we don't have that front line game from Call of Duty is people do care about their kill death. They do worry about the KD. They do worry about that end game, how I look, essential. My stats, right? Yeah. And I think that deters you in a video game from putting your life out there. It's a fake life. Put it out there.
Yeah, it's true.
I've played survival games. It's a different category in the same thing, right? We play first-person shooters, and we're talking about Call of Duty, Battlefield. We're talking about these competitive ones. But there are other shooters that fit that category of your life is the valuable thing. Right. Not the win, not the kill death. But if you die, you lose all of this loot, and you need to come back for it.
Right.
You don't have that element here, so I'm curious as to like what would entice people to get into those gunfights rather than be scared or want those stats. And it might just be, an ailment that comes with Call of Duty because that's part of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Played it for 10 years, 15 years. Like, that's part of Call of Duty. What's your KD?
Yeah, what's your KD?
How much are you winning?
It's a very big question every single time.
Interesting.
Normally, if you don't hear someone say, someone's really good if their KD's like 2.0 or higher. Every time you hear that, you're like, okay, they're 2 for 1, they're set. If you're coming between, I'm going to say 1.5 or lower, all of a sudden, not a good player, all this other stuff.
And it's really crazy because you could be an objective player and you're just the guy winning games for the team.
That's very true.
This guy sucks, but he's really the reason we're winning if it's not a kill-based game.
And that actually brings us into a really good point of the different types of FPS that we have. There's definitely ones that are more objective based, and there's definitely ones that are just there for the kills. I know we haven't touched up yet on like Marvel Rivals, but Marvel Rivals is definitely a objective game. I've watched as I've gone into competitive, and I've seen where someone would complain or say like, I have this many kills or something, and then someone jumps on, it's like, it's not about the kills. It's not about the kills. You need to be doing your part. And you hear a lot of people say that, and that's what it is. It's a different type of FPS, but the core pieces of it is there. But instead of me being just, okay, like my goal is just to try to kill, no, we need to push this objective. That's the only way this will look good.
I understand that fully. From playing MOBAs, coming from MOBA mentality, right? Playing League of Legends, playing these games where you have to rely on multiple teammates to come to a common goal. The common goal here is like, let's push the objective or capture the objective.
Right.
I agree. I have a hard time thinking it's a first-person shooter. It's like Super Smash Brothers, the PlayStation version for me. And I understand it's not a brawler. I understand that. But I think it's just Overwatch.
Right.
And I had to bring up a sore subject when we were talking about Marvel Rivals. Overwatch really managed, for the first time for me, to break that mold of shooters. I'm getting kills.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a guy with a shield and a hammer that your objective, your role is to block and hit things that come close to your teammates.
Right.
That was beautiful for a minute. And then it got muddied, right, with capitalism, with the monetization, with the decisions of the game. Marvel Rivals has found the sweet, little
Right in the sweet spot.
utopia that it's super competitive.
Yes.
There are many overpowered players. There is not a meta that you're forced to play. I'm not forced to deal with Tracer. I'm not forced to deal with this one character. I can choose these multiple routes.
Right.
Not to be that person, but when we talk about longevity, Widowmaker was based off of Black Widow from Rivals already. Not Rivals, but Marvel itself.
Right.
There were other, Team Fortress being the example, games that existed that were like Overwatch pre-Overwatch. Overwatch had its moment in time where I think it really had characters that we loved, that I want to play that character. Let me come to this game for that character.
What is it? Bastion?
Bastion,
I love
Bastion, love him, right?
Oh, man.
For me, it was always Junkrat. I'm a terrible person. I know everyone who hears that's probably like, oh, Junkrat me. I loved him. But that aside, I can be objective and really look at Rivals. And the thing that I love about Smash Brothers, let's bring it back. The reason why I love Smash Brothers is no matter how good you are, I can either get better with this character and compete. Mm-hmm. If I really dedicate myself, or if I'm not stubborn and prideful, I could just find a new character that counters you or has an ability, a chance, and I could play that. Rivals, you're not pigeonholed in anything.
No.
I've seen you play a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Has there been a point where you felt obligated to pick one character for real?
Not a character, but it's very slim, but I want to say a type of role.
I was going to ask healer.
Yeah. No, actually a Vanguard. I'm a big Vanguard.
I'm not
sure.
shocked by that.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that people allow you the ability to be a Vanguard and you're not just insta locked into it because everyone else picked a role.
Yeah.
So tell me, I cut you off. What about Vanguard?
Well, it just depends on the situation because there's different compositions you can have. The most balanced one is a 2-2-2 for everyone that's listening, and that's, you have your people that are attacking, your defense, and you have your healers. There are moments where there's only one tank.
And let me pause here. This 2-2-2 stack he's talking about is not meta, but it's something that's common across almost every type of game. We had brought up Overwatch earlier. You would have 2 tanks, you would have 2 damage, you would have 2 healers.
Exactly.
Then, when Overwatch 2 came out, it went to 1 tank, 2 damage, 2 healers. The thing that is separating Marvel Rivals and Overwatch is Marvel Rivals is role queue locked. You have to choose those. And what Cliff is highlighting here is that is what most people want, but in Marvel Rivals, you can choose 5-6 healers if you want. You could have 3 healers, 3 damage. You could have 1 tank, 3 damage, 2 healers. So with that in context in mind, you have to understand that that's one of the layers that makes you have more options here too.
The interesting part about that you actually brought up is the amount of characters that are in each subject is off balance. There's not that many healers. There's not that many tanks / vanguards. There's a lot of DPS. So naturally, people are choosing more DPS. One, because people do like to be the ones getting the kills, but also the majority of the characters are in that role. So it makes it where as you climb the ranks, the people that you really want to have on your team is make sure you always have a good healer, you always have a good tank. Because you can find people out there that do really good DPS, but that doesn't win games. I've watched people on the other team have plenty more kills than us. Plenty more, but we carried the whole team because we could hold down the spot.
I'm not gonna lie, I see that.
Yeah.
I have so much hope though. Have you played League of Legends?
Yes, I have.
So hundreds of characters.
Yes.
The metas change. People that might be a jungler, or someone that might be a support, someone that might be a role that's off queue, right, off of one of those valuable roles, sometimes get buffs and or have features that allow them to fit different roles, okay?
Right, like a nice hybrid.
100%. Rivals is impressing me with the skill trees they're putting for people. Mr. Fantastic being an example. You're absolutely correct. They are adding so many people into that DPS role, right? He's an off tank.
He is.
He is an off tank, and an off tank, for context, is a character that's not a tank. Usually they have more damage abilities or mobility aspects to them. But they have a feature in their kit that makes them they have the dog in them. They got the dog in them. Something just causes them to be a nuisance. And Mr. Fantastic's a good example because he's thin, he's punching, he's thin, and all of a sudden he gets really fat and he can absorb 300 damage and he can shoot it back. And on top of that, as he's damaging you, it makes him inflate and he does more damage and has a damage boost. So what can end up happening is in these one tank situations, if I'm a good damage player and understand how to be a tank role, I could maybe jump in, engage, smash one of these healers, eat up some damage, dog comes out of me, ruff, ruff, ruff. I run back to my team, and then we can peel, which is that's a technique that you use in higher levels of play to attack and pull back, attack and pull back, and the intention of that is you're exhausting their resources to really be able to outplay them. Clifford is really highlighting the principle of each rank does not have that type of play. And unfortunately, if you don't have the 2-2-2 method, a lot of times those lower ranks, those bronzes, those silvers, and to be candid, the golds. Yeah. Gold players have better hand-eye coordination, which we talked about earlier, having that ability to pull it off. Yeah. They don't have the thought process to pull it off and link it to the next thing they're pulling off and the next thing they're pulling off. And that's where higher levels are like playing chess.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. And I can tell you that the compositions that have been coming out they've been out of hand because there's so many different roles that actually have a touch of that hybridness that you were talking about. So there was, for example, Strange. I play Strange a lot. He is, I know, Strange is amazing. I think he's considered meta, if I'm not mistaken. He's definitely really up there.
If he's not S rank, he's definitely A.
I think he went down to A, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had a small debuff to himself. But he's such a good tank. He has such a giant shield that can protect from most ults. Most ults he can protect from. Magneto, Iron Man. I've saved teams doing this for sure. He has the ability to teleport, so he can get a team in, get a team out, or he can play some trickery and kind of mess with the other team, make them fall into a portal. Depends on how you play with that. And then he has the ability to actually do burst damage. So he's almost close to being like an all-around type of character. I mean, he doesn't have a healing factor, but he has such a wide kit that even though you're choosing that character and your primary a vanguard, you have so much play. Now, what I will say is that I also play Groot, and Groot is primarily just good defense. He has burst damage, so you can get some damage in, but he really is just good defense. He's supposed to, the way his kit is set up, he's really supposed to block off lines of sight. So the way that you're playing him, you really want to make sure that, okay, I want to make sure the healers can't see all the people up front. Or you want to set it up where it's oh, you put yourself in a narrow passage? I'm going to wall this all off. It's me and you. It's me and you in the room. That's it. Put your hands up.
Welcome to the walls.
It's the Thunderdome.
It's the walls of Jericho. No!
So it's very interesting to just see how first-person shooters, there's so many different concepts of what they've become. And you look at Rivals, I mean, I'm not shooting a gun. I'm throwing twigs at people when I'm playing Groot, but it's still that same type of concept.
I'll be really honest. During that whole thing, you really I love how you bring up and highlight things that are relevant and they're so important to me, but it kind of makes me think deeper every time. I think one of the reasons why I like Rivals so much too is there's little hidden layers, very hidden layers, that once you uncover them, you can push your skill level up. So Strange. Yes. You just named his whole kit. Mm-hmm. What about canceling attack animations? Have you ever seen this?
That is such a big point. And it's one of those things where to kind of just go broad and then go into the detail. It's one of those tools that if you want to up your game in just any type of FPS, it's learning what type of animations you can cancel out, because it's not even just in Marvel Rivals. It's definitely in other games where you can learn how to cancel out certain animations.
Can I give an example here?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
you correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to educate people on this. So Doctor Strange, we'll use him as an example. We just talked about him.
Yeah.
He's got this huge shield, 800 health that you can put up. When you shoot your primary fire, if I pull the trigger and I hold it, it will take about a second and a half for that attack to go out. If I shoot that attack and put up my shield and then shoot that attack, it'll go and I know that doesn't sound a lot different. Whenever you're getting pulverized in the front line and he's whipping you between those, because that's really the high level strat, shoot you, shield, whip. Shoot you, shield, whip. It takes you from being a character that does, 150 damage per second to maybe 215, because I'm putting in an attack and a half.
Exactly.
You have 250 health. You have a quarter of a second, a half second, or a second to respond. That's one of those little maintenance that you can put in. You can change your mechanics that, it's noticeable immediately.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And you'll see, just from how I've played and what I've seen, there's plenty of moments where there's someone on their last bit of health, and if you were following that technique, you would have got them, and that could have changed the whole game.
I mean, have you ever had the flip happen where someone has mastered a character so well that they thrive in an environment that they shouldn't? And a good example is League. Let's go back a little.
Okay.
League, you've got top lane, mid lane, and bottom lane, and those have specific characters that are skilled in those lanes.
Okay.
Top laners are chunky. They're thick. They're hard. They're beefy. Those are the end game tanks. Mid characters are always glass cannons. And your DPS at the bottom are a glass cannon with a support. So they're a person that they're tricky.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Faker who came from Korea, and he was a master at every character. He would learn every aspect of every character. And there was one top laner named Riven who was slow, and she had this dagger, and she had a 3-hit combo that would really do damage. Okay. He learned how to attack, to cancel those animations between those attacks, to where he could do all 3 of them in a second and a quarter. He made it to the world championship using that character in mid lane, which it's not even supposed to be played, because he had such a knowledge of the mechanics that at that point the game was irrelevant. He could play wherever he wanted. That's impressive. I like games like that. That's Smash Brothers in my opinion. I'm that guy, go and play with friends. I'm like, ooh, I'm okay. And I have gotten against a few people that played in tournaments that I just couldn't even, they would 3-stock me.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings into a different perspective. There's always, no matter what type of game, there's always a skill cap, and then an ease of use. So let's say I take a look into Battlefield. There's certain weapons that you could use that are very easy to kind of jump into. You have assault weapons, you have SMGs, but when you get to, let's say, certain sniper rifles, or even sometimes LMGs, because you're a lot slower, so you have to position yourself a little bit better, that's when it starts getting harder. If we go to Rivals, everyone knows Spider-Man is immensely hard to learn. He's immensely hard. The moment the season started, everyone that was picking him was just throwing the game.
1 in 9. You're like, Spider-Man, I'm gonna kill your uncle.
Yeah, people were mad. I mean, I was getting frustrated too. But now there's a group of the people that stuck through with playing Spider-Man, and their skill cap is amazing. He comes out, you barely can see him. You got to turn up your sensitivity just to keep an eye on him. So I think there's a lot of moments and different things in these games that, if you can find something that is a very high skill cap, it's worth learning. It's worth learning if you want to push yourself to that next step and just see how it comes out from there.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, when you look at Rivals, there's so many layers that bring me in. Characters, I love them. I love winning. Right? I don't even mind losing whenever it's an actual fun game, which there is that engagement there, because I'm not stuck healing a bunch of idiots the whole time. If you're having a terrible time, let me swap to DPS. Let me try really quickly to try to turn this around. And you can. I will say, more times than not, the frustration's gone away, because I know if I shut up and try, there's an actual much higher chance than 50% that I'm going to change this game in some aspect.
Right.
What aspect do you look for in games that don't have a winning aspect? Like, it doesn't have win or lose. What brings you to that? And I know that's such a broad question. Like, what do you mean? There's DayZ, there's Tarkov, there's The Division. There's so many games that exist out there where there's not. I mean, sure, if you die, you've lost. That's a given. But the journey you're taking is like building quality on this life you don't want to lose. Mm-hmm. Unlike Fortnite or these other games that have an end in sight, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That building a loot is a little different.
Right.
It's like building a high. You're finding items that are good, that are rare, that work, and they're in pristine condition. You're like, ooh. But then those gunfights are actual fear. I have an actual adrenaline rush. I'm sweating from my palms. Holding my breath in real life because I'm like, I don't want to lose this life. That was DayZ for me. Like, I can really plainly say without really getting into that's DayZ. Any survival game where I can run around, loved it. Have you had that experience? And if you have, like, what was that game that like really kept you?
You're gonna have to strap in for this one.
Okay, I'm strapped in.
I'm
strapped on.
You mentioned it too. The Division. The Division is such a good game, and your goal isn't to just kill people. That's not your goal. That's not your end goal. But it is to try to save New York. That's the first one. And I think the idea behind it, where to kind of fill you guys in, where there's a certain virus that breaks out on Black Friday, which is something that's very possible. Very possible. It's
did
very
this game
realistic.
come out before COVID?
It did. It definitely did. That would have been
probably
something if it came
possible.
out.
Probably is very possible.
It's very possible. Let's just put that on the books. But it's a very intense game. I mean, they have it where you see New York in a different light. You see it where no one's in the streets. There's trash everywhere because no one's picking stuff up.
Don't you say that there's already trash there, listeners. I know someone just said it who's listening. There's not. There's a marginal amount of trash.
Plenty of trash.
But in this game, the margin of trash to people is exponential. There's tons of garbage, very few people. And the people you find garbage, so it's ironic.
But it's definitely a very intriguing game. You start off as an agent, and you are a part of the government, and you're potentially trying to get everything back online. So you start off with, if you remember, like certain parts of it.
I've never played it.
You never played it?
I was gonna let you finish and then ask you about the red zone.
Oh man! Oh yeah.
Or the dark zone. Sorry,
yes.
I call it the red zone because you die, but the dark zone.
The dark zone. So potentially you start off with finding a hub where you're potentially getting food sources, water sources, police stations back up and running. So let's say there's a police station that was overran. There's people in there, stuff like that. You would go there, try to clear it out, get certain things active, and then take that information back to the hub base.
Clear out, you mean kill people, zombies, infected? What are we talking here?
It would be kill people. Potentially sometimes you'd be going into areas that don't have people, but there's different mobs that have formed, different like miniature legions that are running different areas of New York.
So this apocalyptic isn't like the Will Smith movie where everyone's zombies. This is like something catastrophic happened. We just have less people.
Catastrophic, less people. There's no type of. It's a very lawless. Think of a lawless like New York. Very lawless New York. And
seems cool. Not cool in real life. Seems cool as a video game for sure.
For sure.
Like that would absolutely be something I would be in. Now did the Division 2 go down that same path? Because the Division 1 to me as an outsider seemed to have a bigger following, and people raved. You got to play the Division. Division 2 came out and I didn't really. Other than one friend of ours, Guido, that was the only person who talked about it. I really didn't hear anyone else who liked it like that.
Right. So I will say 2 was better than 1.
What?
2 was better than 1. There's some things that 1 did better. There's some things that 2 did better.
Give me one of overall. Each. Give me one from each. What was the aspect of 1 that like you?
The dark zone. Okay. Definitely the dark zone. Terrifying. because you walk in and there's just, you're already walking through New York and you can tell there's a lot of things just not operating. You walk through the dark zone and it's like very, very like gothic. It almost feels a little gothic. And there's whistling noise. You see nothing in the streets. There's a lot of enemies that are a lot tougher than on the outside of it.
Human enemies? NPCs.
Human enemies.
Okay.
Yeah, NPCs and human enemies. This is the one spot where you actually play multiplayer. So when you go in there, you are running into other agents. Now to kind of hook you into the dark zone, you can get better gear inside the dark zone. It's areas that people just had to leave because the contamination was too high. And you had to wear a certain mask. You have to actually upgrade your mask on the filters just to make sure that when you're walking into certain areas, you're not getting infected. So there's certain areas you can't even touch depending on like what type of upgrades you have, which is very intriguing. You go through and let's say you're playing and I see you in the street. I don't know if you're going to kill me or not. I don't know if you're going to attack me. You approach me and I see that you have gear on your back pocket. You can extract it via helicopter. So you have to go to an extraction point.
What kind of health do I have? So Daisy, same, very similar concept. Like if I see a person in the town, we're watching. I'm watching you.
Yeah.
I'm watching you.
I got eyes on you.
I got my eyes on you. Now.
Yeah.
You could get one shot killed. You can get one shot in your leg and then you're crippled and you gotta like go bandage it up. That fear exponentially made me like question people.
Yeah.
In the Division, is it like a one shot, two shot? Do you have the ability to have gear that like prevents you from going down immediately, or is it like always you're in the dark zone? This is your life on the line.
So your gear can be in 3 different types. So you can have it where it's more health based. You can have it where it's more attack based or more tech based, which is the gear in the Division is actually really cool. Because you potentially use almost like your watch as a HUD. And by the way, I just want to say for the record, the best HUD ever seen, I think, is the Division. I think it has the cleanest HUD in any game ever made.
And we'd love to hear if you have one that you think's better. We'll compile it.
Please,
I'll compile it into a list.
Oh man, I would love to see it.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah,
that's my homework. I'm gonna look up the HUD for the Division. But I'm gonna have to go and find one because just off the top of the dome, I think maybe definitely top 3.
Okay.
The Fallout Pip-Boy.
That one's immensely cool.
And it's such a staple for a favorite game of mine. So I'm very curious to see because there are aspects that could have been made better.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
You're gonna like it. It's a very, very clean, very minimal, but they put it in locations of importance.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's
the way
you're talking about thoughtfulness.
I love
it.
It's very beautiful. Even for a second, like the map. If you open up the map, it's not like you just go to a menu page. It actually opens on the floor where you're standing, and then it zooms out, and then you can see yourself still standing there, and you can see the whole map. It's a really cool concept. It's almost like it's projected.
Didn't they scan New York so it was accurate to New York?
It's very accurate. It's like to the T, very accurate. Like if you're like, let me go up like...
I go get a piece of Joe's Pizza and shoot a couple people in the dark zone.
Yes, absolutely.
That's crazy. So is that the adrenaline game for you?
I would say that one definitely was, because when you go into the dark zone, to kind of go back to that, you can extract items, but in order to extract it, you have to shoot off a flare. When you shoot off that flare, everyone in the dark zone knows exactly where you are.
They want that booty.
Exactly.
They gonna get that booty. You can give them that booty, or they gonna take that booty.
One of the two.
I remember the Boondocks. I know that's got
it's the easy way or the hard way.
That's a hard one to replicate. I said it so weird. That's a hard one to replicate though, because like you're naming that, and how old's the Division?
I want to say roughly about 10 years.
Is that the last time you really experienced that?
I mean, that really ties into, I want to say, for just FPS, it would have to be Battlefield 4. That one, even though I wasn't actually on the ground as much. I was really good with the mini helicopter.
Stop, Cliff. I think we're brothers. That was my favorite. Tell me about it.
Oh my goodness. So I don't know if you've ever seen like people pulling off tricks and like hugging walls, being immensely close, coming in, doing like a nice hover, tearing someone up, and then pulling out. I was that guy. If there's any multiplayer I can truly say that I excelled at, Battlefield 4.
I'm sad. I jumped off of that heavy train.
Yeah.
Battlefield 3.
Okay.
Black Ops 1.
Gotcha.
That time frame. And so not that much, maybe 2 years before. It's not crazy.
Yeah.
But what had happened was like I was a bartender, had a lot of time, had a lot of friends that played those games. So literally I'd put 15 hours in a day just playing, grinding out, getting to be top 1,000. Because like highest I got for Battlefield 3 was like 743. That I can remember.
That's awesome.
743. My buddy leveled up with me, so it was like 743, 744. That was great. And you know what's funny? We were snipers and medics. So like I resonate earlier to that talk extremely. But one thing that I don't know, I think I just fell out of love with that whenever I started to find campaign games.
Yeah.
And it was because it was that shiny new toy, not that they weren't good. Battlefield 4 was still great.
Yeah.
If I was gonna pick a Battlefield that lost me due to the content, it was Battlefield 1.
Okay.
Which is ironically after Battlefield 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I know that sounds absurd. Battlefield 3 and 4 were modern, and Battlefield 1, the context was this is the first war, so they went back and did, like, a more war of antiquity. I don't want that. I want modern war. I want to blow something up. I want to fly a helicopter. I want to do a nice 90-degree turn, land, drop some fellers off, and then shoot down a plane.
Yeah.
And I'm sad I missed out on Battlefield 4 because that was still modern, right?
It was immensely, pretty modern. I mean, I think it was really groundbreaking for Battlefield just in general because I mean, this was the time when they came out with the mobile application. Do you remember that by chance?
No, but was this the one where you could blow up buildings and level them?
You can level, yes.
So, my God, I stopped at destructive environments where you could blow out walls. You could blow out all the things, but it would leave the building. Mm-hmm. I forgot that. I'm like, what was so revolutionary? Destructibility.
Yes. It was, you could truly level cities. Close to leveling
I remember specifically a tower that looks like, for context, we're from Orlando. There's an unbuilt tower on I-4.
Yeah.
That has been there forever. It's called the I-4 eyesore. There's a building in Battlefield 4 that was an immensely tall glass building that I saw people shoot down.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh because I'm like, I mean, what's the point? But then when you get in the game, I remember that the players were bigger, like the player base.
Yeah.
It went from, I think, like 24 or 32 player lobbies to
like
32 on 32 or 24 on 24.
Yeah. 24 on 24. That's actually spot on.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's very insane. And there's one map where it's a giant dish, and potentially you can destroy the dish, and the mayhem that it leaves afterwards. It's immense. It's such a good game. And the application to kind of touch on a little bit before, you could actually, let's say you're at work, you really want to play. You can actually log in and play as Commander. Have you ever heard about that?
No, but I'm curious because I think this is a concept I liked in Warlander. So tell me what Commander is.
Commander is where it was an application that they came up with where you can actually log into that game. If, let's say I'm playing it, you're the commander, you can do supply drops. You can call in like strikes on certain areas. I'm doing this from my phone that's why 4 will always be my favorite.
That's crazy because I played a game a year ago, 2 years ago, called Warlander.
Okay.
And it was a free-to-play war game, 3 lanes, and you're fighting with medieval weapons.
Nice. Okay.
Whoever logged in first to that chose to be the king, and it was an RTS.
Really? Okay.
For whoever was running the battle, it's an RTS, and you would ping where everyone needs to attack. Everyone else in the game would be first person with a spear or a sword or a shield, and they would follow those commands.
That is awesome.
And I'm like, man, this is mind blowing, dude. That shit came out 7 years before for a game I like.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. I mean, that's something easy. I'll look that up like now, but I mean, I can't play it. I'm sad. That's super cool.
Such a good game. It really was. I think they really like went out of their shell a little bit, and they reached all the right components to make it where it wasn't something that was abnormal. It was something that was still within their field. It still felt like a core Battlefield game, and it was just immensely fun. Man, that helicopter, that brings me back. Being on that helicopter was immense.
Bring back the app. I want to play that. I want to play games while I'm at work. Bring back games.
That would be amazing. Yeah, definitely bring back that.
Make it easy. Make it easy for us. So, we've talked about so much. I did have something on my mind.
Yeah.
I want to know where the aura change came in first-person shooters for you. Like, when was that change of like, you know, I think I'm done with these team deathmatch, this strictly fighting, in changing. I don't want to say maturing, because I think both have their pros, right? Like, gaming changed a lot towards battle royales.
Yes.
Just there's a lot. There's Apex. There's Fortnite.
Apex is pretty fun.
And those are the two I go to, not because others don't exist, but those are the two that I feel like stood the test of time.
Yeah, they did.
Those are the two that, like, Warzone I felt like was trying to capture something. Apex and Fortnite were their own monsters that had their own base. Fortnite, I'm gonna see pop culture combinations that I dreamed of as a kid. I'm a twerk as Vegeta, and you're not stopping me. I'm gonna do a Megan Thee Stallion dance after I beat you as Perfect Cell, and you're not doing nothing about it. But that's that aspect I love. Apex, you're not going there for cutesy stuff. You're not going there for pop. No. You're going there for a 3v3 dogfight.
Yeah, that's true.
Where's that? Where are you landing on this now? You know, we're getting into our 30s.
Yeah.
Where would you put your coins on that table? Red is as the fun. You got the fun pop collabs. Black is that competitive, fighting it out, sweaty sweats.
Well, to kind of put like somewhat of like a timestamp of when I like really fell off of like shooters, it was actually right before Fortnite. So Fortnite, I never like truly like dove in and was really a part of, and then Black Ops 3 I think was the last one that I like really attempted to try to like push through and like try to play. I never got around to like, I think the one that came after that was like I think Advanced Warfare, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever was after 3, that's where I like definitely.
You answered my question. Modern Warfare 3 was my fall off.
Was your fall off too? Yeah. I don't know what it was. It felt, certain parts of it was very repetitive. Certain things were refreshing, but I just wasn't feeling the same about it.
I'll be really just real. Like, I just didn't want to play it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there it comes sometimes. It wasn't like I was like, I hate Call of Duty, or, you know, sometimes it's a community. I don't want to be one of these gamers. Overwatch is that for me now, right? I don't want to be one of the Overwatch community. No, that community is so toxic. Lots of great people. Lots of great people. But whenever you're upset, it becomes really rough, right?
Right.
I just didn't even try. I remember I played like 5 multiplayer games and then literally turned it off and was like, no. And I don't have a good reason. I just went to playing other games. At that time, I was really just playing RPGs.
Okay.
So, you know, I can't put the blame on first-person shooters, but definitely there was something there that just didn't catch me. I didn't want to get there and master a helicopter because it wasn't a thing.
Right.
You know, I love kill streaks. Didn't care. I've already got all the nukes. I got so many nukes in Modern Warfare 2. I think that there wasn't an innovative feature enough to like really dig its teeth into me.
Right.
You gotta bite me first for me to dig into you, right? Like, that's a lot of games. I need that little catch. I just didn't see it. I didn't catch it.
And to kind of like, I don't know if you, because you said that like right at 4, that was the one that like you kind of fell off and didn't really dive into. The one right after it was Hardline. And Hardline, they, if I'm not mistaken, was the next one. And they took a very hard left from what they did on 4. So during that time, I think I've just had so many different like FPS that I just wasn't feeling anymore. Hardline, they took away the destruction. They took away the destruction. They made it into, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a bunch of like different heists that you could do because you were like more in the city and like suburbs.
Like
type.
Payday heist, like the game Payday type of heist.
Not that more like picking up like payloads, certain areas. I'll double check that. That'll be a cliff note.
Got you. But like, just it's more objective based than kills is really it.
Yeah, and taking away that destruction, and I think there was still like certain vehicles, but it just wasn't. It felt really restricted from what they just like went so crazy and big with. So I think after dealing with that, after having Black Ops 3 not really feel the same, and then I never got into Fortnite. It was just like right at the edge of when I've already quit. I think that was really the falling off part.
I mean, all good times come to an end.
It's just true.
That is
very
a fact.
true.
I loved Halo 3. You know what the end of it was? The end of Halo 3. It wasn't the game itself. It just, you know what? Its life cycle came up and something else came out.
Yeah.
I will always appreciate the good times for any game, whether it's a week, whether it's a day, whether it's 6 months. I think that it's just such a fine line to make something innovative and keep the aspects that keep people there.
Right.
I'm never going to get mad at them for trying something new. I may not stay around to enjoy it, but I can always appreciate that. Black Ops 6, I think, is a great example. You know, I really came back after 10 years and really put in work. I put in 100 hours. I also stopped playing on a day.
Yeah.
I just, from one day to the next, I got on and an update came and it changed my highest rounds from zombies and it changed all my custom loadouts. I just didn't want to do it again. But the Omni movement, 10 out of 10. I really like it. Even though I'm older and the hand-eye coordination might not be the same, I think that it's given me a level playing ground for these kids that really do have the step up on me whenever it comes to shooting. I can outmaneuver them.
Yeah.
I like that aspect.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people I felt weren't fair when it came to Omni movement. If someone was like, I hate the Omni movement, I assume that they didn't play the game and they just went with a buzzword. What I would agree with is the use of AI for art in a lot of their rewards.
Okay.
A lot of their pictures and postcards were created with AI, and you can see it. And I could point it out to you.
Really?
Yeah, like a good example is there's one picture of a zombie, and he's facing forwards and backwards at the same time. Because AI has a hard time with that, right? So his arms are facing you, his legs and chest are facing you, but his head is facing backwards. And it's not like because he's a zombie. Little things like that bother me.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not paying real people. I know at that point you're choosing, I need this product, content, and I need this money from people, and what I want the least of is work,
resources,
and hustle, right? Because you have to hustle people to do the work, you got to get them to do the work, and you got to pay them. Yeah. Like, to your point, resources. I think that is where games fall. For me, quicker than, like, you took away something I really liked. It's like a weird dystopia we live in, that we have access to all the best technology. Yeah. We've got the best information, but I'll be really candid. Some of the campaigns and some of the multiplayer and some of just the interactions in game are worse than games 5-10 years ago. And I'm like, is it due to the rushing of the quality? Is it due to we have lower expectations?
I think it's the rush. I think and to kind of tie into a different part is the campaign to certain things. You can tell when there's details there.
I know that you love Modern Warfare's campaign.
Yeah, actually.
Again, special episode, we talked about it, but I want you to give it to us again. What about Call of Duty's campaign pulled you in?
So we talked about the first one,
Modern Warfare.
The very first, Modern Warfare. The first episode. It's stormy. It's really intense. You feel the essence of importance when you're showing up. You don't know exactly what's going on, but you come in on helicopter. You come in undercover to make sure that no one knows you're there. Starting that off as the first mission was really intense. Okay. Really intense. It definitely set the tone that, this isn't just a simple war that's going on. There's a lot more to it. I think another episode or potentially a mission that really sits with me is do you remember Aftermath?
No.
So
I wanna lie and say yes. Give me the context.
No, you're fine. Because remember, we play a lot of games.
There's a lot.
We play a lot of games. So there was a when a nuke went off, and you're trying to save like your team, right before the nuke goes off, and then you're stuck at an area, and like the one character that survives, he's watching the nuke go off. So it was a very intense moment because you saw how like they were saying like Marines never leave each other and stuff like that, and as I'm sitting here watching everyone fight for each other to make sure everyone gets on this plane, knowing that a nuclear bomb is only a few miles out about to go off, that type of dedication, that type of we're brothers and sisters in this, it's something that you don't, you may see certain pieces of it, but you just don't see it in that light. It's a very different light to see it that way. And the moment you see like in the distance the nuke goes off, the sound wave hits the plane, you're going into a spiral, you're going crash, next mission. And the next mission is you waking up and you're the only one alive, and you're looking out and you can just see the mushroom cloud in the distance, and then you fade into black. Think about the games that come out nowadays. They don't replicate stuff like that. That is intense.
No,
I'm getting. You see these goosebumps?
No, I'm not. You are, and to be honest, like you're bringing me back to, I think one of the things that converted me from that multiplayer to the guy that plays more campaigns was BioShock.
Yeah.
Very different, right? We're not talking realism. Like
right.
I've not been to war. Right. I love that. I love that you're highlighting a sense of gravity.
Yeah.
A sense of purpose. And a sense of fragility. To be really honest, you have these big tough guys, and he's gonna. You see the vulnerability not only in death, mm-hmm. but in the will to survive is equally as hard as being alive. It's like, love that. BioShock brought in the narrative concept of you're playing, you're enjoying these powers. You're enjoying the look of the game, this weird underwater world, very different. Again, I've not experienced war. I've not been to Atlantis, so very unique.
Yeah.
But then 70% through the game, there's a twist. And that twist has a flashback that shows you every moment in the whole game that you succumbed to this twist. It blew my mind. I will not ruin it here. I will not ruin it for you. It is that good.
I've only played, I think, Infinite, so I haven't played the predecessors.
I'll give you one hint because you're a smart guy.
Okay.
But no more context.
Gotcha.
All three games follow the same concept.
They do.
It does not matter what game you're playing.
Yeah.
The outcome is the same. So what I would say is you pick the one that has the best feel for you.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of video games, I love comics. People like Superman. People like Batman. If we're talking DC specifically, right? We've given so much love to Marvel. Let me talk about DC.
That's true. That's true.
People pick those based on preference. I see myself in this guy, or I see these aspects I like. I think that game was the first time that I got to pick between three different, like the first one, the second one, and Infinite. I just think they're packaged differently.
Okay.
What do you like? You wanna fly around, innovative. You want technology. You wanna soar. You want colors. Do Infinite.
Yeah. That's
that Superman. That's that Metropolis. That's that positive negativity. It's weird. It's like, oh, this is beautiful, but there's a context of evil here. BioShock 1 feels like Batman. It's wet. It's sad. I feel like I'm gonna get my ass kicked around every corner. I'm kind of watching it, right? But like, again, it's so unique to each one. BioShock 1, BioShock 2, Infinite, all very different. Everyone could have a favorite that's different. But if we talked about what we liked, it's probably going to be a similar vein because the narrative is so good.
Right.
And to your point, like you don't get a lot of that. You don't get a lot of that.
Don't.
I will say Black Ops 6 has a pretty great campaign. It's
That's
not gonna hit you in your heart as much as that Modern Warfare, but it does build off of emotions from Black Ops and Black Ops 2. I didn't play Black Ops 3, so I can't speak to it. I don't know, but I would assume.
Okay.
those are some best campaigns. What's your worst campaign you've ever played? What was the first-person shooter you played and you're like,
oh, like this was terrible? Oh man, that's a pretty tough one, to be honest with you.
I could tell you.
What would be yours?
There's been times where people have been like, you should really play this game. There's an older game named Resistance.
Okay.
That was so popular. And it was like an alien shooter game. It came out around the time of Left 4 Dead. But it was more of a Valve shooter. Have you ever played, Left 4 Dead, CSGO? You don't really aim down sight. You don't really aim down sight. You kind of just like have a reticle, and the guns all have like their own function to it. I think I'd picked up the game too late after. Whenever someone's like, "Yo, play this game of the year," and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna tear it up," and it's good.
Okay.
That concept doesn't last forever. There's definitely like a line in the sand, like maybe post 2005, that every game of the year greatest hits was good.
Okay.
Resistance was not. And I think it was just, it didn't age well. It didn't age well. Like, if we went back right now, beginning of the episode, I said I love GoldenEye. I do love GoldenEye.
Yeah.
I still will bang to that music right now. What I won't do is sit down with you and play a competitive game of multiplayer, because it's oblong-shaped heads and terrible, mechanics.
Right.
The nostalgia is separate from the longevity. Resistance was one of those games I think you had to play it when it was new.
It just didn't age well.
I think when it was new, it was like, this is great because I'm fighting off hordes of monsters and it feels great. Now there's so many games that do it better.
Okay.
Helldivers.
Yes.
You want a game with no campaign? That is exactly what I thought that campaign would be. Helldivers, right? But I think that's not that it's such a bad campaign. I think it's my expectations were off.
Right.
So I can't shit on it. But I will say, that was probably the first-person shooter I went into. I was like, this is going to be great. Got my little snacks, got my drink, ready to get some trophies. I played like 30, 40 minutes. I was like, wow, this was a mistake.
So I've come to mind. I had to do a little searching because I was like, man, there's a lot that I've played. Have you ever heard of Planet Side 2?
God, no.
No, you haven't?
No. Planet Side 2.
Planet Side 2.
Tell me about it.
It's potentially a game where it is a whole planet. Everything's at war. But you kind of just get lost in how massive it is. It's close to, from what I remember, almost like a full continent of where you could be fighting. And there's just so many different objectives depending on where you're at. It just felt aimless.
Massive to be massive.
Massive to be massive. So that was it had a really cool concept. I thought it was going to be the game I was going to be stuck with. After playing it, it just, you feel like, okay, well, what am I doing over here that affects what's happening on the other side of the map? It doesn't seem like there's any correlation at all. It just seems like it's very localized. So why even put yourself in a situation or make a game where something's so large, nothing's having like a connection?
No, I mean, I'll be really honest. I've not played that game, so I've not had that experience with a first-person shooter. I've had the opposite, where I played a game that was massive that I thought was going to have that difficulty and did not.
Okay.
Did you play Ghost Recon Wildlands?
No, I've wanted to.
First thing,
that one looks really good.
You'll hear it here. Cliff and I are going to platinum that one together, along with Dooms. But that might be one of the better executions of a massive game.
Okay.
Has the Division type function. The way you shoot, the way you move your character, the way that works is very much like the Division.
Tom Clancy. They do it right.
But most importantly, you're in another country. You feel like you're in another country.
Okay.
And every region has a different feel. That's not easy. As someone that we just talked about, New York, and you go there and you have this experience, as an American or as just someone who's traveled to New York, this is a good vibe. This is close to New York.
Yeah.
I know that someone could play a video game and be like, there's no way that this is a good representation of this place. Maybe you play a game like the old Spider-Man where it's just the graphics are not graphically depicting what it looks like, right?
Right.
It had such a feel of grander. You can fly from one side of the country to the other in a plane. It takes 30 minutes.
Okay.
You can land at all these airports. You can go do all these heists. You can stop and get any of these upgrades or guns. So the way it was laid out was very much like Grand Theft Auto. You have all of this at your disposal. There was not a point where I felt I was wasting time. I was either getting something, I was getting an attachment, I was building progress, or I'm fucking shit up with my boys and it feels good. And that in itself is a moneymaker.
Yeah.
You could pick a shotgun, you could pick a pistol, we could pick a whatever. It doesn't matter. Even with the difficulty, if we play well and we know those tactics, you're going to succeed.
That's
It
nice.
feels good. It feels good. And the innovation for me in this was, I don't like to do anything blind. I don't like to play any game without a strategy. I don't like to do any team deathmatch without a strategy.
Right.
I don't like to break into a compound on a game without a strategy. They allowed you to have gadgets that you could fly above a drone and mark everybody.
Oh, that's awesome.
You could fly a drone and mark spots. You could fly a drone and maybe set off a little electricity so they walk over to it. There was ways that no matter how many times I play, no matter who I'm playing with or play style, we can do something unique.
That's a very nice element. That's a very nice element because you can't, when you have that, like how we mentioned in our previous podcast, the options. The options.
Yeah, but like, what about the options with first-person shooters is important for you? Like,
I think it's really the kit of what you could do because I mean, when it comes down to aiming down your sight, the simplistic of it, the pieces of it. You want to have something that either enhances it or makes it more intense. So, for example, I know most of the Call of Duties you can have like 5 to 6 attachments now. Before you used to have like maybe 1, 2, then it was like they bumped it up.
you put on
3.
a perk, you can put on 3.
Yeah,
Like, okay.
now it's a lot. And then like even thinking back to Battlefield, there was like plenty of different like attachments that you could throw on that just felt like it gave you an edge. It kind of gave it where it was a little bit customized for you, which was a nice piece.
I mean, I think it's fair. I think that, you know, I'm not going to say we're professionals, but
Right.
I think that once you put in 10,000 hours into something, you really have the ability to like speak pretty well on the subject.
Yeah.
Been playing games every day since I was 5. I'm almost 34, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been playing games your whole life.
Yeah.
I can tell you what feels good and what doesn't feel good. I can also be objective and say, hey, this isn't for me. I think a lot of the points you bring up, right? Whenever it's the story, I want to feel it.
Yeah.
The part you're highlighting with Modern Warfare is I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. Now, have I felt it in real life? No, but you've told me a story well enough. I think that we have the bandwidth with technology, the Unreal Engine, to really bring some wild stories to life. And they won't always feel good. They won't feel good because not all stories are good.
That's true.
But that's where we can experience it. You can learn, you can take something from it. I think we live in an era where like we're on the cusp of those games. We're on the cusp of that innovation.
And you know, there's a lot of games that are not AAA, that are kind of hidden a little bit, that have that perspective, that do it really well. I don't know if you've ever heard of Spec Ops: The Line.
Tell me about it. I've not.
This one is a very interesting concept. So you're in Dubai. Dubai gets hit with the biggest storm that it's ever seen.
Come to Dubai, Habibi.
Yeah, Habibi. I'm like, it is, I mean, the sand that comes pouring into that place, it doesn't even look the same. And you're sent in as a agent to try to see if there's people still there, stuff like that, help with evacuations. And you go in with only a 3-man team into this whole city. There was already a setup of people trying to get people out. There was a general, he was set up at a certain place, and you're trying to reach him. Now the thing is, just like when you're in the desert, you start hallucinating. It's a very interesting twist. While you're there, as you're trying to help, you start hallucinating a lot. And you're the leader. So there's a lot of moments where the 2 people that you have in command, they start questioning you. And you're like, no, this is clearly it. But you'll make a decision, and then the decision will kind of like mirage its way around you. You're like, wait, what did I just do? So as you go through the city, you try and help people, you become something that might not be help. It's a very interesting concept. And I think playing that game, the ending made me really think about like, perspective is everything. So it's a really cool concept for an FPS.
Hit him with it one more time. This is a suggestion for a good game to play. What's the name?
It's called Spec Ops: The Line. It's definitely a little bit older game. It'll still feel a little bit fresh and new. If you want a very interesting story, something that kind of throws you for the giving you different perspectives, that's the one to play.
Okay, you heard it from Cliff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you one, and I know this is very popular in the last year. I'm gonna say Helldivers 2. Not because of popularity now, some bad decisions with their marketing and things like that. That's one thing in a game's life cycle. The reason I would tell you to play this, we're talking about first-person shooters. Mm-hmm. We've given you so many elements today. We've given you elements of like just games that we love. Yeah. Games that really made us feel good, feel bad, but both of those are good, right? I feel. Mm-hmm. Games that I look forward to playing. Helldivers, the guns felt so good. The guns were fictitious. There's like an arc shooter that shoots electricity. There's machine guns. There was some aspect of shooting those guns that felt good. And when I started researching, I found out that the country that it was made in, everyone's required to be in the military.
Really?
So something that really transitioned from all of them being in the military is they've all shot firearms. And them all shooting firearms and then becoming video game developers, they made sure that the game, even though it was fictitious and in space, had physically accurate guns.
That is amazing.
I will tell you, it's noticeable. You can tell when you play it. You can tell when you get in and you get behind a gun and put it in first person mode. You do not have to. This is why we brought it up on the FPS podcast. Put it in first person. It's gonna be a different experience. Helldivers is good either way. Blow me up in third person, blow me up in first person. I don't care. But on the flip side of here's something that's innovative, pulls you in, is attractive, the Dubai baby. The flip side, go to space. Let's blow up some aliens for democracy. I'm telling you, you'll have a great time. The guns feel good. You'll feel good. I would suggest playing with friends.
Yes, absolutely.
The friendly fire.
Need to play as well.
We'll play right now. It's 11 o'clock. We'll play right now. Thank you for joining us today for our FPS podcast. We are so happy to bring to light some of the games that we love so much and challenge you to try something new. Tell us about your wins and losses on the legendofgamingpodcast.com or join us on our socials at the Legend of Gaming Podcast on Facebook, X, or Instagram. On our next episode, we will be covering action, adventure, and RPGs. Until next time, this is Matt.
And this is Cliff.
And we're logging off.
Peace.